right scene. What a treat. Believe it or not, you are indeed joining myself and Todd Doe for this evening's episode of Templar After Dark. This is not a snuff film. You are simply joining us in the red light district of Norwich, apparently. We've got some exciting topics. We hope you have had a great evening thus far. If you've been to your local game store to play F&M, that's fantastic. We're hoping to send you to sleep following that experience. We got some good topics. There's been a lot of things happening lately. We've had some local game stores closing in our area. We're going to go over if Standard captured our hearts in the end. Did the bans fix Modern? Did everything we were hoping for happen from the ban announcement? What we're wishing for with the upcoming sets. We've got a new segment about heroes and villains in Magic, and our upcoming hopes for the RCQ season going over to Tournament Center from Legacy, as we bid farewell to this organizer that's been with us for a good year plus now. So, Todd, do you want to kick us off with our first topic?
Yes. So, local game store has closed. That's Black Tower.
Awesome. Next topic.
So, Standard. What have we thought about Standard so far?
I think this is... I don't think you've got to... I'm actually rotating out of frame. Fuck, I forget that my camera isn't where it's sitting. I'm just like, I usually spin over here and then it's like, oh, hang on, I'm like rotating out the camera. High quality content as always from Templar MTG.
Production values peaked with the new red lights.
Oh, speaking of production value though, and to go off topic already, on the second topic, kind of. I think the Templar Talks podcast, the next episode, will actually be in the studio. I think.
Wow.
And the idea that we've spoken about that isn't known, that I'll tease a little bit in terms of our big video idea that's taking a bit more prep and getting some community members involved and local game stores and so on.
And some props.
Yeah, the props. The plan is in action. So we should have a shoot date for that in the next week or so. So that'll be good. But to go on to the topic, Standard I think has kind of captured my heart, to be honest. I have enjoyed it the more I've played it. I think the format is actually pretty healthy. I'd even maybe go as far as to say post-ban and post-MKM, it may be the healthiest format in Magic. And yeah, I'd definitely like to play more Standard, to be completely honest. I mean, you kind of skipped a lot of it, right? Because you qualified playing Modern and there's not much reason to play RCQs after you've qualified, so...
You're not wrong, but I have had the itch. I've had the itch to play some Standard. I would have enjoyed some more reps with Boris Convoke, and obviously we're going to Naples, so we have to... well, not we. I'm going to Naples. You might be coming. Phil's definitely coming to Naples. Rocco's coming to Naples, and now James has qualified to come to Naples. So that is four of us going to Naples, and we got to kind of have an understanding of where Standard is right now. You obviously went down to Axion Now's RCQ and had a very different experience to the RCQs we're having it in Norfolk, right?
Yeah, I mean, mid-range was far more prevalent than it has been locally. Locally, it's had a lot of aggressive decks. Like, Boros Convoke was everywhere in local tournaments, but there wasn't actually that much of it in Axion or at Axion. I think, yeah, I mean, I was pretty happy with the Axion RCQ I went to. I ended up like 9th or 10th on 3-2. One 3-2 player snuck in, so we kind of had to wait it out for the announcement to see which 3-2 player would be the lucky one, and unfortunately it was not my day. But yeah, I think the games I lost were not games. Or, okay, one game I lost was a game. That was a 45-minute game one in the mirror, and I lost the die roll, and it just went, we both had 10 cards or so left in our library, and they were on low life, I was on low life, and it was one of those slogs. They actually made an interesting choice in playing. I think they were playing like 4 Mirexes, which, like, when you go that long in the blue-white mirror, it's pretty damn good, because it's just consistent damage, because, you know, you have to make the decision to Field of Ruin the anchorages or the Mirexes. Usually you'd probably focus on the Mirexes and then target 2 anchorages, but I did that, and then they played more Mirexes, I believe, so it was kind of like, oh, sure. But yeah, no, that was an interesting one. But the other game I played, I mulled to 4 before I saw any lands in game 1, so that was kind of a non-game. And then game 2, I think I mulled to 6, kept a Freelander, and didn't draw a 4th land after 7 or 8 turns, despite like pile shuffling extensively and you know, really giving it a good shuffle. So that was just one of those luck of the draw things. But yeah, I don't know. I think standard does seem really good at the moment. It surprised me, because I like to shit on standard, but I think it actually maybe says something more about the state of modern, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I like to dunk on standard, mainly because it's on a Wednesday, and that's just a god awful day. I would play more standard if it had been on a Friday, I think, during this season particularly. But like you said, I think the metagame's interesting in standard. You get a bit of mid-range, a bit control, a bit of aggro, and like different flavours. We obviously saw at Skyward some pretty sweet Gruul list, which I enjoyed watching for sure. I probably would have enjoyed playing it. So yeah, I've liked standard. It's been a bit fresh, and certainly modern, with the injection of Leyline of the Guild Pact, which my cold take of being like, oh, it's just fine, it's fine, we'll just get rid of it. Let's just remove that from the battlefield, move on. And it's not been that at all. It's absolutely homogenized the format into just you have 2 options.
Yeah.
Like combo aggro or 5 color shit from my binder.
Yeah.
shit from my binder, Leyline of the Guild Pact, and whatever the fucking Scion is. So standard has been fresh. I've enjoyed standard. I am looking forward to playing standard at a really peak competitive level at the RC. But when it goes, I'm not going to be that sad, because I didn't have to invest into it that much, you know. But then Pioneer's coming up, right? So we've got to relearn Pioneer. I'm very
surprised. I know we're going to be touching on the banning after this, so I won't go too much into it, but I'm very, very surprised that Pioneer stayed as it is as well, to be completely honest. I'm excited to, you know, if I can find a deck I like in Pioneer. I mean, I did really enjoy Blue-White Spirits, so maybe I'll revisit that. Seems Blue-White's just become a bit of a theme, or blue decks, I guess, coming from Merfolk and everything I played in Modern. But yeah, I don't know. Pioneer will be interesting for sure. But yeah, standard has been significantly better than I thought it would be.
I agree.
I do think it suffers a little bit from the what I didn't like about Modern, in that everyone like jumps on a ban, like not like a bandwagon. So as with Modern, where people, you know, everyone hated Scam and they wanted it banned, and everyone's like screaming about it and this, that, and the other. And you know, let's be fair, that deck didn't exist until someone did well with it, and then everyone jumps on that bandwagon. And I've noticed there's that Teamer lands combo deck that looks like absolute hot garbage, but won an event, and now everyone I know locally is like trying that deck, and it's kind of like it's cool, but it feels like it's that, you know, follow the leader that I've never been a big fan of in Modern, where everyone gets annoyed because their deck isn't tier 0 or didn't win the last event, so they all feel they have to jump. And obviously Modern's more expensive, so it deters you from that, and then it has that backlash of, we don't like Modern because we can't pivot this way. But I kind of have that mindset of, you know, maybe you don't need to pivot that way, you know. Sometimes it's okay playing decks that haven't, you know, just won a tournament or whatever. But I don't know, It does seem pretty good. I will still die on the hill and say I don't think that the 3-year rotation was a good idea. I've still found it a little grinding. I mean, quite frankly, it's pissed me off that I've had to buy like cards like the Wandering Emperor. It's just like I avoided buying them because they weren't in modern decks I liked, and it's like, this is going to rotate, and then it doesn't.
I think what is interesting about what it does to the meta game is it slows down the kind of desire to brew. And I think standard is a brewer's format. It is the format where you can go, turned up with something you didn't expect, and actually it's stronger than you thought it was, and now I'm going to take down this tournament. And because why would you? I've still got Sheldred and Wandering Emperor. You know what I mean? Why would I bother looking for the next strongest thing when the thing that was already strong is still strong? It kind of slows down the pace, right? Where when formats sets rotate out and new sets come in, there's that big phase where like a couple of weeks you don't really know what's going on, you don't know what the best thing is, and people are trying out new stuff. But when it's a smaller segment that's going out and a smaller segment that's going in, it kind of stagnates a little bit, and people don't go as deep down the rabbit hole as you could. And that's why things take a lot longer to pop up, like 4 or 5 weeks in, and there's still new stuff happening because there's less reason to brew, because I can still slam a Sheldred on turn 4. But which is like Pioneer and Modern, you know, we know what they are. It'll be interesting to see what Pioneer has to offer, to be honest, because it has dodged the ban, so there's still a lot of pretty obnoxious shit about, like Lotus Field and Amalia combo, which I don't know much about, but looks kind of fun.
Let's move into the bannings, and you know, we'll start with, obviously we've clickbaited this with the whole, you know, is Modern fixed title, so we will cover the actual bannings, but you know, Pioneer not getting hit, it's interesting in terms of, like you mentioned, the Amalia combo and Lotus Field. I don't know, obviously you said you're not familiar with the Amalia combo. Do you, like, the basic core issue of it is that draws are very possible, like highly possible, not in terms of the game has gone too long thus it is a draw, but in terms of this game has entered an infinite loop game state and thus we go to the next game. So in the Pro Tour, I think one of the best of 5s went to 8 games, 7 or 8 games, because so the first 2 games were draws, so they got to sideboard game 1. So it's kind of like crazy that hasn't been addressed, and it is very obnoxious, just the way you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm just gonna dawdle along, and turn 4, I win, or you interact with the combo and then we both lose, so we go to the next game. Like that is just like, you know, the play pattern, which is definitely unhealthy. And I think that's the problem I have with Modern at the moment. I mean, I think the Violent Outburst ban is fine, if I'm honest. The more I reflected on it, I was annoyed because I like Rhinos, right? Like I like playing that deck, and the more I reflected on it, the more I actually thought it probably is fine to ban Violent Outburst. Makes the game more diversified, but I think the big issue was it was almost like a gatekeeper for some of the other problems in Modern. You know, Amulet is a very fast combo deck, Yawgmoth is a very consistent combo deck, and they're blooming as a result of this ban, because they're not being checked from, you know, that explosive Rhinos gameplay. And I mean, the ley line of the guild pack shit is just absolutely degenerate. I just hate it so much. And also, good evening, Lewandowski. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I agree. It's the deck that plays the ley line of the guild pact out on turn 1, you just know that you're not going to have a good time. You're like, oh, I guess I'm going to have to deal with Binding. I'm going to have to deal with Scion. You might have Carvey, you might not have it might be the Rhinos, but it just, yeah,
I think
it's just
like
very same.
Yeah.
Like when you go round for round, right? Hopefully, its popularity levels out, and it's not the a large wedge of the meta game. You know, it's sitting around 10%. If it goes to like 12, 14%, if it starts to succeed, but we're not really in a modern season, so we don't know, right? What it will be when people start playing for comp play and not just for fun, right? The modern games are very much for fun at the moment.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens this weekend, because there's a big modern tournament, a Grand Open qualifier for Naples.
Sure, yeah.
Pick Your Poison is the second most played card in Modern according to MTG Goldfish. Leyline very balanced. I mean, I think you're definitely echoing our sentiment for sure, Nissan. I think my biggest problem with it is it's almost like Fury, in that Scam was a deck that really wasn't. It was kind of a problem. It did some degenerate shit. But its win rate was it had a good win rate, but not a crazy win rate. It was beatable, and it wasn't that popular. As it got banned, it did reach that level of popularity, and I can see why it got touched. But Fury was I preached it from every place I went to that Fury would get banned over Grief, and the reason for that is Grief is a very niche card that only fits in certain strategies. Whereas Fury was a card that was seeing sideboard play in Murktide, it was seeing play in Elementals, it was seeing play in Rhinos. Like, it was a card you could put anywhere, and I think that's the problem I have with Leyline and Scion, that package, is that basically every modern deck right now, like, we've seen Amulet lists that are playing it, and it's just...
Infect.
Infect's playing it. Like, obviously, it's cool that Zoo got a tool, kind of, because it's not a clever tool, it's not a creative tool. For all of its drawbacks, let's be fair, Scam was a pretty difficult deck to brew, in terms of it took a long time to be all those pieces to get melded together, because it was a lot of different weird shenanigans. I think it was about a year after Modern Horizons 2 that deck really rose to popularity, whereas this has just been like within 1 month of launch, everyone and their mum shove this fucking card in your deck and just see if it works. And I think that's where, like, Pick Your Poison being the second most played card in Modern, like, even going into the Axiom tournament, I was debating going Simic Merfolk just to fucking put the card in the sideboard. And it's like, if you have to go, and I think as well, like, as much as I praise your deck choice of 4-color Omnath, ring control, I think the fact that you almost had to play that deck, and the reason the team were kind of like on that hype of maybe this is a good deck for you to play, it's only because there's that shit in the meta that you have to adapt your entire thought process behind, because it's not a case of like, oh, I might come up against creativity, I can put a counter spell in here that does a specific thing, but it'll also work in this deck, in this matchup. It's such a niche situation to get a fucking 4/4 hexproof vigilant lifelinker that flies on turn 2, that you have to adapt your entire strategy to deal with it. And like right now, I just don't think, personally, like, I'm against playing these niche decks at the moment. It's why I moved away from Merfolk, but I don't even think it's really playable at the moment, because game one, unless you can just keep subtletying it or whatever that Scion, you just can't do anything about the Scion. Like,
yeah, what really winds me up about the way it's affected the metagame is that there is no drawback to being the ley line of the guild pack deck. It is a free card that comes in and does the thing that it says on the tin, and off you go. And there's the Zoo. I liked that Zoo got a tool. I do agree. And you get the and when I played against Smurfy and he's doing his not Leyline of the Guild Pact gameplay, you're like, oh yeah, you really suffer to play fucking Zoo, don't you, when you're on, or Domain, right? When you're on like 12 life, turn 3, and now you've got your 5/5. I've worked for my 5/5. You're like, fair enough, you know. If you kill me there, good for you. You've worked. You've had to jump through hoops to get there. But when they go, oh, fetch a forest with my Guild Pact in play a 5/5, you're like, oh, okay. I guess it's this game now, and yeah, yeah, not sure it's gonna last. Leyline of the Guild Pact.
Or Scion. It's
or Scion, sure.
Yeah, I think, you know, a couple of mentions in chat. Welcome to the stream, Crouching Piggy. Nissan, I can't remember if I said hi, but hi, good sir. But there's a lot of, you know, comments about, you know, Murktide running breeding pool for pick your poison in sideboard, and it is, you know, that is just the normality now, right? Like, that's just the way it is. That's the world we're living in. You know, I think a lot of Murktide, like die-hard Murktide players I know of, like for example, I don't know, have you ever played against Olivia at Axion events? Massive Murktide player, huge fan of the deck, and you know, they're now basically just playing Murktide Zoo. Like, because it's just Murktide but better. Like, and I think that's the problem. You just shove it in a deck, and you know, I love that it's probably clickbaitable, kind of get the comment section going, but I have enjoyed that Arch has just been kind of commenting on several posts of people asking for deck advice, just with, have you tried putting Leyline of the Guild Pact and Scion in it? But it is just like, that is almost where we are, you know?
Yeah. Well, you're either, what I do like about the violent outburst banning, to go back on topic, is the fact that it's brought back the prominence of these linear, off the wall, really refined decks like Hammer Time, you know, all of those things that kind of got lost in the Rhinos meta, where it's like, oh, I'm just not going to be as consistent as the instant speed Rhinos or instant speed Living End, and certainly Hammer was a deck that suffered from Living End, right?
I mean, I don't think Hammer's back though. I think that's a stretch. I think Hammer's pretty, like, might have got like a finger out of the grave, but I mean, like, Creativity's back. Creativity's a deck that's back.
Sure,
that is back, but
it gives room. It gives breathing room, right? But then these decks come back out, and then they were like, oh, and look, you found the Leyline meta. And now it's just back to this is the deck that I'm most likely to see when I sit down at the table. And if I haven't prepared for it, well, fuck me, I guess.
I think it goes to say a lot. I think the Axiom Mega event that you qualified to Naples in, I think the top 8 in that event was all Rainbow Rhinos or Control. Like, it was, you know what I mean? Like, it was either the Control players or Domain shenanigans. Like, there were a few 2 players in there as well. And then I think day 2 it was the same case, but you swap out some of the Control stuff for just Yawgmoth. Because, you know, it's a combo deck that can just get there if it survives long enough. But yeah, I don't know. Lantern meta, we definitely don't need, Nissan. Let's not do that, please. Especially if Will sees this VOD, he'll be all over that.
Who doesn't love a bit of Lantern, right? It's like not playing Magic the Gathering.
Well, you could argue that the Leyline of the Guild Pact deck creation is similar to that. Kind of not playing Magic the Gathering, but I don't know. Yeah, I think it's encouraged. It's encouraged hugely the rise of either combo or control. I think aggro is now your flavor of Leyline, whichever you're choosing.
Yeah.
And then everything else is either just solid combo or solid control.
You know what really fucks burn is a 5/5 on turn 2.
Yeah. Is it a 5-5 or is it a 4-4? It is a 4-4, right? Scion.
Scion, sure. I'm just thinking of Carvu, right?
Oh yeah, Carvu.
I'm thinking of Zoo. I'm still raw.
That's fair. I just, for me, it's just like Carvu is 5-5 on turn 2 is, I get it, but like it's just that fucking Scion ability. Like it's just so degenerate in combination.
The Hexproof. And it's got lifelink. That really fucks Burn, doesn't it?
Yeah. But to move on to, stay on the same subject with bans and, the other formats, standard, we did our ban prediction video where a lot of the community members at some of the local RCQs we've been to had their say. And there were a lot of predictions for Pioneer. There were a couple of predictions for standard, but I think it was more along the lines of cards like Shieldred are just so inaccessible that, maybe it's going to be a ban for the people, as it were. Which didn't happen, but Pioneer, a lot of people thought Pioneer was going to be the format, and I was surprised it wasn't Pioneer. If not for the Amalia stalemate nonsense, just for the fact that Lotus Field is very, very degenerate. Let's be honest, Sorin Vein Ripper is pretty degenerate. And the big one for me is that Phoenix has an absolutely ridiculous metagame share and didn't even get a look in. I think it was I'm actually going to get the stats because we're supposed to know what we're talking about here, right?
I mean, a lot of our hopes were that just Pioneer was banned, so we're sad that that's coming up next season. Especially as it hasn't been touched, so now it really is just going to be the fucking two ships sailing past each other. What degenerate shit are you on? Oh, I'm on this flavour of degenerate shit. Okay, here's my opening hand. Have you got it?
Like Legacy back in, Deathrite Shaman times. Like, it is. So that's the thing though, right? So Pro Tour, Murders at Karlov Manor, I think you have to discount the Rakdos Vampire deck because that was like a bit of it wasn't the best kept secret, but it was a little bit of a last minute brew shenanigans kind of deck that came about. But everyone, and again, I will reference everyone and their mum, thought that people were going to be bringing Phoenix to the table. Everyone expected Phoenix. Everyone planned for Phoenix. Everyone prepped for Phoenix. It was the most popular deck by an absolute country mile, and it still, at a Pro Tour, had a 57.5% win rate in open deck lists. And that is fucking insane. Like, that is so high. And I just can't believe they didn't, Treasure Cruise, it's banned in Modern. Like, just take away some of the consistency.
But again, like, if you're not consistent in Pioneer, you just die to the combo decks that are very consistent, right? Like Lotus, Will, one of the reasons we're looking at him to join the team was his proficiency with Lotus Field particularly and Amulet, because he'd turn up and you'd have the deck that I'm fine with Lotus Field, I'll just clap it before it does its stuff, and then he'd be like, just block, flash this in, blah blah blah, and then he would just combo off on turn 2 or 3 consistently every single game, and it is just, that's some hot garbage. So you have to be playing aggressive to beat that deck, and you have to be playing blue, and then so you're kind of playing Phoenix then, and if you're not doing those two things, you're doing some other super aggressive or super tall strategy. But I remember Pioneer being very unpleasant with the mono green devotion when we were doing that RCQ season, and I just played mono white because I was like, I'm either going to be faster than the Lotus deck, or, well, faster than any deck, or I'm going to get to finish my round in 25 minutes.
Yeah, there is something to be said about that. Since making my move to blue-white control and standard, I appreciate a short round time here and there. I'm going to
either win or lose, right?
Yeah, well, it's kind of, let's have this 46-minute game one and hope my opponent just scoops so I get a 4-minute lunch break. I mean, Crow's mentioned in chat about the calm ban shaking up the format. Like, I think it definitely I don't think it did. Like, because it just hit Green Devotion really hard. And I think, for me, I think Khan should have been banned. Khan for me is Fury, right? So basically we had an entire miserable season of Modern where everyone was mad about Fury, and then just as it's ending, they're like, guys, we're gonna ban Fury. And then it was the same thing with Khan, right? Pioneer was done. We'd suffered the mono green Khan loop for fucking so long. Like that Axion RCQ you're talking about was like literally a year and a half ago. Like it was a long time ago, and they only banned Khan in the last 3 to 6 months, and it just feels maybe that's going to be the whole thing with Guild Pact, right? We're going to have a fucking horrendous season of Modern. We're gonna play through Pioneer, no modern changes. We're gonna play through the Modern season. Every deck's still gonna be leyline flavored, and then the last week of the season they'll be like, guys, we're gonna solve Modern, don't worry. And now it's standard season.
Yeah, I mean the Khan banning, I think was purely just a quality of life ban, right? It was just because nobody likes to see that card come down, switch off your artifacts if you've got any, and then pull the game winning card out of the sideboard. And when they do the loopy shit, it's like there's no counterplay, right? Pass, or you resolve the Khan, or you're either going to lock me out with the big fat God Pharaoh statue, and I can't play the game, or you're going to be able to have the black mana to loop that stupid flip card, right? And that was nobody liked that, which is why I'm kind of a bit like, okay, you're fine with a Malia combo. Like, are you really fine with that sequence of play where I'm going to do this thing, and even if you can interact with it, we're still moving on to another drawn out long game, and it's like we want to have some kind of resolution.
Super spicy take on the Modern ban. I think Force and Negation was more the problem than Violent Outburst, because Force was what allowed you to have that explosive, like the backup in your opponent's turn. I don't think doing it in your opponent's turn is, because like say the alternative was, I know this is like alternate universe shit, but if you're sat there with Archmage's Charm or Violent Outburst and you're waiting to see what your opponent does, I think that's kind of like, that's fine gameplay to cascade into a Rhino or whatever. It's the fact that you had that counterspell backup, and it does feel like Lewandowski's mentioned, like the push design, it almost feels like we're taking these pushed cards, accepting them, and then pushing out maybe cards that have been there for a while as almost like a distraction, because it's like Khan's been in Pioneer since the formation of the format, right? Like it's a card from War of the Spark. Violent Outburst has been in Modern for like donkey's years, like literally, like it's been in Modern for ages, and it's often the cards that pair with them that are the problems. But WotC seemed to want to remove the older stuff. Maybe I'm being cynical, but maybe it is the whole just product sales situation, right?
Yeah, let's not forget the tin hat theory that they just won't ban cards they've just printed because they still want to sell product, right? Which is, I don't think that's the case, but
it hasn't happened that often. I mean, let's go deep into the conspiracy theory here, right? The most prevalent situation for that being the case was when they didn't ban Hogak, and they banned like everything around Hogak before going, maybe Hogak was the problem, and getting rid of it. Like it's, well,
you say that, but I wonder if when they banned Oko, it really fucking hurt numbers, and they're a bit tentative, because that's the only time that I feel like they've actually truly bit the bullet and instantly gone, okay, actually, shit, we really pushed Oko, and that card is horrible, and they got rid of it. And I don't know, but then I guess Uro still got to sell those.
No, it's different set.
Oh, is it?
Uro was Fails Beyond Death.
In the same block, right? Same block.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Throne of Eldraine was pretty pushed in general, but Oko was like, they banned a lot from Throne pretty quickly. They banned what was it? Once Upon a Time, the free spell at the start of the game. Banned Mystical Sanctuary, the land that got instants and sorceries back. But I for me, it's more my concern, my honest concern, being serious without trying to just do clickbaity fucking conspiracy theory shit, is I do worry that they're listening to the community too much and not the numbers, because. Ever since I played, like, if I actually look up the history, because I might be making this up, but I can't remember the last ban that hit Modern prior to Fury. It must have been a while ago. Modern ban history, MTG. Banned and restricted cards timeline. Okay, we don't want to go back to 1994. Let's...
I think what does frustrate me about them listening to the have I lost sound entirely?
No, I was just listening to you.
Oh.
I just paused there. You just had like internal.
It just went so silent. I was like, am I dying? Right. I forgot my train of thought entirely. What was I saying?
I don't know, to be honest. You just said something about the problem. Okay. Let's hopefully get you back on four. But I just wanna bring this up. So prior to Fury being banned, because obviously that's the one that's like, you know, really in our heads of the last thing. So that was in December of 2023. In the year prior to that. Actually, let's make it a bit more interesting. 3 years prior to that, so if we go back to December 2020, how many bans do you think happened for Modern?
In 2020.
So from December 2020 to December 2023. And chat as well, get involved. And
how
don't
many
look at
bans happened?
Yeah. How many modern bans specifically? How many bans hit Modern?
Well, 2020 to 2021 was COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like there was much banning, but then maybe online was really popular. I'm gonna say 7 cards.
Okay, so Kira in chat has asked how many events happened in 2020. I honestly don't know. Crow, not a lot since Hogak, Lewandowski, Lewis Oko, Uro at least. Lewis Oko, Lewis was in this window, Oko, Uro, and Hogak were obviously before that. So from December 2020 to December 2023, which is obviously the big Fury ban, we had 2 bans. Yorion and Lurus. And that was it. And then we unbanned Preordain as well. We did unban Preordain.
Yeah.
But
I like that unbanning as well. I've got to admit, we didn't talk about what should have been unbanned.
I wanted that though. I said that in the prediction video. I said, why not like throw grenades in pre-MH3? Because they know what's coming in MH3. They know how pushed the Zet's going to be. Why not fuck around and find out? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
And it's low stakes as well because there's no real modern tournament Magic.
Yeah, I mean, since I've been playing Magic, since I've been playing Magic properly, which was end of 2019, Modern. So as I said, actually, so it was mid 2019 because I remember playing a Hogak deck. So Hogak, Faithless Looting were banned and Stoneforge was unbanned. Then we went donkey's years, well, like 6 months. Then they banned Oko, Mox Opal, and Mycosynth Lattice.
Oh, sad. I miss Mox Opal.
Then Once Upon a Time. And then they didn't touch the format till Arkham's Astrolabe. And then they didn't touch it till Lurus. Like, I think, I don't know why they're, like, so keen to dip in now.
What I think's funny is that, Astrolabe is obviously got this extra thing with Urza. But that card, how is that card bannable? But you're then just like, oh fuck it, Triomes, oh fuck it, Guild Pact, why not? Play whatever you want on curve with no drawback.
Yeah, I think that is the crazy thing. Like it does just feel like we're pushing the format like big, up and up. And despite that, we're not experimenting with what could be unbanned. Now, I will also say that I have many a time whilst killing time and Athena debated with Alex on his lunch breaks about what could be unbanned. And when you do look at the ban list, there isn't too much that looks safe. I don't know if I'm actually gonna have a look at. So, what is the ban list for modern right now?
Are you sure you don't want Splinter to?
So what? Sorry.
Are you sure you don't want Splinter to win?
Oh god, no, I definitely do not. So modern ban list MTG. So I'm going to be really lazy here because I don't want to break our lovely little setup we have with mine and Todd's faces. I'm just going to drop this link into chat if anyone wants to go through the ban list at the same time. But I mean, there isn't too much on that list that feels like it could be unbanned, personally.
No, the only, and it is really the single card that I think is like absolutely safe is Green Sun Zenith.
I don't even know that is, because it's like you can get a Dryad Arbor out, right?
I know, but then like I don't. How strong is that really? Maybe that's like a little bit homogeny. Like it might be like, oh, what if you're not doing this? What are you doing? But I think it's not that scary. I don't. Maybe actually thinking about it, it makes Titan a little bit better because of it's just extra copies of Dryad.
So
Grazer.
Kira's just mentioned GT, and I was literally coincidentally hovering over GT, reading it again. Well, cause every time I think about it, I'm like maybe, and then you think about it again, and you're like, actually, let's not go there.
Yeah. What's the 1/1 card that they play in Infect when they can't go Infect and they just go damage? What is that?
I have no idea.
The unblockable hexproof guy. Is he hexproof? I don't know. I just anything
is that's 2 mana.
No. It is 2 mana, but it's damage. It's like a normal 1/1. I can't remember. Not Geist. I'll look it up in the background. But anything that's hexproof and unblockable that has a JIT on it just becomes a fucking shooting gallery, and it's really unpleasant. Like True Name Nemesis or something, Not that we have True Name Nemesis.
I'm a bit of a nutcase, but I always go back to the card when I do look at one that could maybe be okay of Faithless Looting, because I just think everyone
missed that card, but
everyone says
okay.
it would, yeah, but would it really push Dredge over the edge? Because Dredge is the deck that everyone brings up when it comes to it, but Dredge is just like so in the sea because of so much graveyard hate that's like free, like endurance and stuff that like I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think Ponder. I mean, that'd be funny. Like they see that Murktide's play rates going down, and Preordained didn't do enough, so they unban Ponder. But yeah, I don't know. I think we could definitely talk about the modern ban list for hours. So rather than going on about that for ages, let's talk about our hopes for modern. What do we think might come in Modern Horizons 3? I'll throw James's suggestion in on his behalf. He is insistent that True Name Nemesis is going to get printed in Modern Horizons 3.
What the fuck? Invisible Stalker, that's the card I was looking for. Hexproof Invisible Stalker is unblockable. It's a 1/1 from Innistrad.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that with a JIT just feels terrifying, but that could just be me. Yeah. True name Nemesis. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I mean,
why not? Let's just Coco those bad boys in. just play blue-green control. Just maybe we're wilderness reclamation, and then you're like, and casually 2 free ones with unblockable, like just protection from you.
I mean, to be completely honest, like in my ideal world, Modern Horizons 3 probably would have True Name Nemesis. And it would also have like no, but it would also have Force of Will, and we'd unban like, you know, half of the ban list, and it would just become Legacy like. Because I think it's almost at this point, right? Like, to be a bit crude about it, I'm kind of like sat here looking at WotC dead in the eyes and just saying, what are you waiting for? When are you just gonna fuck me? Because like they're pushing us to Legacy. Like the power level just keeps going up and up and up, right? And it's like, come on, like let's just get there, get it over with, and then we can make Pioneer the new Modern, and everything's solved. The reserve list doesn't, you know, exist.
Pioneer, I don't want to care about Pioneer.
Yeah, but it'd be Modern, you know, it'd be the new Modern.
It will never be Modern. I've been touched by Pioneer. I went from like a good mono black aggro deck with like where your best card was like a 3 mana fucking murderous adventure card. What was that stupid thing? And you could rebuy your that soldier from the graveyard. It went from like good healthy Magic to like fucking Lotus Field.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off. Yeah, I don't want to play Pioneer. I don't enjoy Pioneer. I don't want to be pushed to that because they make MH3 busted.
I just want to say that I think some old moderns do look miserable as well. Like I think as much as I'm joking about the legacy push and stuff, Modern Horizons, in my opinion, in my small sample size of playing, I think it's probably been quite a good thing to shake things up, you know.
You're opening the can of worms now. This is a regular behind the scenes Team Templar conversation where everyone's like, Modern Horizons ruined Modern. I miss the good old days. Dead Guy Ale. Everything was fine. Nothing was wrong. I love Splinter Twin. Pod was the best meta ever.
Yeah, I am very much the I am arguing with everyone, just being like because I've started playing Modern end of 2019, middle of 2019, something like that. But I have gone back and watched the footage of this shit, and it is the most miserable, unentertaining situation. Like I keep going back to it, but that the final is like a final of a GP or a Pro Tour or some shit like that. I don't know, where it was Splinter Twin versus, it must have been Summer Bloom. I'm pretty sure it was Summer Bloom, and the commentators are literally just sat there like, well, he didn't draw into his win, so if he top decks Splinter Twin, he's won. And you're just like, come on guys, like this is miserable and awful. And eggs as well, like the egg decks, you know, like where you're just like sat there and you see, you know, Yuta Watanabe like sat sadly on the other side of the table with his Jundlist, like just counting mana for the opponent, like because there's nothing else to do. It's just like this is
Ironworks was bullshit. When you'd watch like 10 minutes of like cracking and you know, cracking egg, drawing cards, making mana, and then they'd just be like, no, I haven't got it. You know, you're like, oh wow, fucking riveting. It reminds me of that. This is what I don't like about standard or any format particularly, is when there isn't a card or a way or a strategy to break the mirror, and it is just who draws the most gas. And like when we watched that blue-white control on stream in Skyward, and it was like a Wandering Emperor. As you know, you're trying to make it interesting. Wandering Emperor. Get lost, the Wandering Emperor. Oh, and he's got his own Wandering Emperor. Oh, but he's got the Get Lost for the one, and you're just like, this isn't fun. This isn't fun or entertaining.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not having a good time.
I will say, I did get the absolute pleasure of playing against the Slogak deck in paper, and that was fucking miserable. To watch that loop was just like, okay, so you're gonna sack your lands then. Okay, fail to find because you've already got all the lands out of your deck. They come back. Okay, and then okay, it's still not big enough to kill me, so you got to do it again. Yep, and then you do. Yep, okay, and if you do just attack here with this one, like I can win, so I have to sit here and wait for you to, in case I can flash my Wandering Emperor in and exile it on the attack. But it's just so like, yeah. I mean, I think it's cool that people have the creativity to break the, like KCI as well, right? Like full credit, that's like hardened scales on hard mode, right? Like to pilot that deck is cracked, but at the same time, a lot of the problem was people that were not cracked were piloting that deck, and it just resulted.
I played that deck.
Oh, you were the problem.
And I went to F&M with it, and literally everybody who sat across from me was like, "Oh, you're that guy." And I was like, yeah, I've got some fancy RK post mana counters. Can you hold them for me? And they're ticking up the dice, and I loved it. I was twisting up my dice. And I was like, look at all this matters, mate. And then I'd look up at my opponent's eyes as their soul left their body, and I was like, oh, I'm a problem.
Yeah,
I should be. I need to go.
I think that's actually been something I've noticed playing. A lot of people. I think so. I've actually started to enjoy playing blue-white control in standard, but the first time I played it, I was playing the Bant control version, which I think is a bit more clunky. It doesn't have a direct game plan. You're just kind of fumbling about a bit more, and just stopping everything your opponent does without a clear path to victory, right? And I felt like such a dickhead. Like I think I came top 4 in the end. Hated it. Hated every moment of it. Like it was painful. Like beating people sucked. I didn't want to play because I just felt like a cunt, basically. Like I was just sat there like, you're not having fun, I'm not having fun, I don't know when I'm gonna win. Like I'm just fucking drawing some shitty cards off these beanstalks, leyline binding everything you have. Like, oh, it's awful.
On the flip side, I got to be the good guy at GP Birmingham years ago. I can't remember what year it was. Maybe it's 2019 or something. And I came top 60 with Jund against, and I must have played about 4 Hogak decks and 5 Tron decks, and I was totally the underdog. And I won every single game, and every single time I saw Hogak, I was like, oh, you scumbag, you're the bad guy. And then I was like, Lily, sack it. You know? and I fucking, it was just such a good day. And I felt, you felt like, oh, I'm behind, but I'm going to put all the pieces together to get ahead. And like equally, Eldrazi Winter, not that I could, anyone could, that was the worst, to be honest, because you couldn't, there wasn't a really clear strategy to beat it. You just had to be the faster Eldrazi deck.
Yeah, that doesn't sound ideal. But yeah, sorry, to go back, what are you hoping for in Modern Horizons 3, Todd? Other than a true name Nemesis.
I think it's because they've shown us the fetch cycle. I don't feel like it's going to be as exciting as Modern Horizons past. I think that's their selling point, right? I think that's what they're giving us.
But they did that in NMH2. We had fetches in MH2.
Yeah, I like the look of the new Emrakul. I think the madness is kind of fun. I like the look of Psychic Frog. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. Always a nice effect. Ninja stuff. Discard a card. That's usually a bit of an engine, right? Like when cards do that, like Lot Left Troll and stuff, that can be kind of busted. But Lot Left Troll has the caveat that it has to be a creature card, right? This is like discard whatever you fucking want. That could be busted. And then exile 3 cards from your graveyard, give it flying. Yeah, I like all of this text on that card, and it's 2 mana, so it sees modern play. I think. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what
Titania will be interesting.
Yeah, although I don't like that cyclical where your elves count for my stuff. I don't like when it. I think that for me that gets a bit messy in comp play, particularly because whose responsibility You tell me, Stephen, whose responsibility is it to make sure that that Priest of Titania is adding the correct mana?
Yeah, that I get that. I do get that. I do get that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I think, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna actually say I'm super disappointed with the fetch artwork. Don't like that they haven't like reused classic artwork. But I think my biggest hope for Modern Horizons 3 is I hope that local legend and recent MTG trader James Bussey, friend of the channel, is going to open a single collector pack of Modern Horizons 3, and I want them to have a foil full art Fury in there as the box topper mythic. Just or if they put it in there like a violent outburst, like just to go alongside his other full art foil Furies and full art foil like violent outbursts. He got so hosed by those bans, considering he just like fully foiled out in full art rhinos, and yeah, not ideal.
What do you think of the flare? Of the flare cycle?
The flare cycle.
Yeah, you know, we've seen Flare of Cultivation, right? You may sacrifice a non-token green creature rather than pay this spell's mana cost, so it's mana cheating.
Oh, sure.
What do you think? Do you think there's going to be like the red one's just going to be Fury, but you have to sack your Agavan?
I mean, it's an interesting way to get around it. Like, because you at least have to have something in place so it's not... you know what I mean? Like, you're free for wanting yourself at that point, potentially. So I think it is probably a fairer design. But maybe it's going to be... I don't know how it would work with red, but maybe it's going to be more beneficial effects. Because, like, the force cycle was all removal, right? Like, even... Actually, what was the red force? And the white force?
The white one... Oh.
Yeah, Modern Horizons Force.
Wasn't it in Enchantment? Was it not the Force of Virtue? It was like black-white tokens would have played it if it got a look in.
Yeah, it was an enchantment. If with flash, creatures you control get a +1/+1.
And the red one...
Red one was if it's not your turn, exile a red card from your hand, create 2/3/1 red elemental creature tokens for trample and haste. Okay, so sure. Maybe they are all going to be different. I think my mindset there was the two that we actually play, Force of Negation and Force of Vigor, are both like removal counter effects, and then it's odd that they've gone for a beneficial add lands effect with this one. Yeah,
and Force of Despair, the black one is like kill shit that's entered the battlefield. Yeah, destroy all creatures that entered the battlefield this time. I think there were some decks that were messing around with that against like Fury and stuff. Like Scam. Or Glimpse. Oh, could you imagine doing that to Glimpse?
That would be hot. I hate that deck so much. I hate that people are like messing around with it again.
I fucking love Glimpse.
Yeah, but it's just chaos. It's like I'm just gonna spin the dice. Like,
it's fucking Wheel of Fortune. I love it. Let's go.
Hate it.
It's like Hearthstone. What am I gonna get? What's come out the random generator today? Oh, it's another Omnath. Sorry.
Snow-covered wastes is an interesting one from MH, though. Just to touch on MH one more time, the fact that they've confirmed snow-covered wastes is, is that going to be a relevant card, or is it just like a flavor thing?
Snow can be busted, right? Arkham's Astrolabe is sketchy.
True that.
But so, I've got some pretty nice secret lair Snowland. So.
Fuck your secret lairs. Did you ever order the Sheldon secret lair?
Oh shit! Is it gone? Have we still got time?
I'm on it as well because I haven't ordered mine. Yeah. It's still available. 2 days. Cool. That was a clutch. That was a clutch. Remember there. Clutch memory. But moving on to kind of our new segment, we wanted to start a little segment for the live show called Heroes and Villains, where each month we showcase something that's a bit shady and not above board that's happened in the Magic world, and equally highlight something that's been a great shining light for the game. So I guess, Todd, do we want to start with the bad or the good? Like, what are we?
Well, I'm just thinking, are we pessimistic that we're gonna think that we get something bad every month?
I mean,
there's always a villain.
Let's be fair, we can just throw in WotC, right, pretty much every month for some kind of a project. Too much product being put down our throats. But yeah, I think
it's too shiny. There's too many versions.
I definitely think there will always be villains. I think the heroes is going to be a little bit harder to find, to be honest. But yeah, let's start off with let's go on a high note then. Let's start off with the good. What have we found that's been good in Magic? I think you hadn't seen this news until it came up on the podcast doc that we had.
Yeah, and quite often I haven't seen the news. I just bury my head month to month. But yes, Channel Fireball's articles will now be free.
Only written articles. Written articles. Yeah.
Sure. What other kind of article is there?
I don't know. I just want to double down on that. But basically, this came out of nowhere. Reed Duke just tweeted at the end of last month, by the way, all Channel Fireball written content is now free and accessible to everyone. So it's pretty cracked that they've made that available. I think that's really cool. I think it's a really good thing for the community.
I rate it. I've never liked paywalled content. I find it annoying when I look at my news articles because you flick through and you're like, Putin's going to nuke London, blah, blah, blah. Ukraine's, everyone in Palestine's dying, awful. And then you're like, something light-hearted, and you have to have Telegraph Pro to view this article. And you're like, well, fuck me, I guess. Like, negative lifestyle,
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I think it's a good thing, but I do also think it's a bit of a concerning move, because what does it say about the state of CFB's monetization if they're no longer able to have a paid model? Like, how are they gonna survive long term?
I do think it is a product of unsuccessful business model, or like it's interesting because we know quite a lot of people who write articles or want to write articles or who want to access top Magic articles, sideboard guides, and it's always a bit like, I know this dude on MTG Online has a Patreon. If you pay the £3, you get his sideboard guide. And I just think there isn't a cohesive way or a location you can go to get quality content. And you would imagine that was Channel Fireball, but I think people were turned off. And certainly I only have ever known one human being, thank you, Colin, for never sharing screenshots of those articles, who actually had access to that behind the paywall and would share tips about those particular bits of content. And now, it's free. Brilliant. There is no barrier. But now it's free. Does the quality of the article get worse? Right? Because actually those writers aren't getting paid, or there's no incentive for them to write quality content. So it is a bit of chicken and egg.
Or is it simply a case that creators have moved to more lucrative websites, like as you've mentioned, Patreon? Like, I know Michael set up a dictionary, which is where creators can put their articles behind a paywall. Is it that there's rather than getting paid by CFB, it's more beneficial for creators and writers to have like a direct to consumer kind of model in this day and age? Like we look at, like, I never thought I'd bring this up on the fucking podcast, but you look at like what OnlyFans has done. It's yeah, but like no, right? Are
you suggesting OnlyFans for Magic?
Yeah, but like it's created a.
Sorry, let me just get up now.
A direct to consumer, like,
I'll give you...
like portal, right? And I think that's the way a lot of things are going, rather than pay your subscription. Yeah, I mean, Crow, you should patent that straight away.
Right, I'm getting buying that domain up.
But like, it's, you know, that there's a reason that OnlyFans was so successful, and it was that at the end of the day, and equally like Twitch, Patreons, all these kind of tools to put money directly in the pockets of creators has been successful, and it's because people want to. I think people are sometimes happy to pay for that paywall. It's just they want to ensure it's not like a corporation or like a big thing. Like, you know, I'll always, it's just consumer mindset, right? Like for me, again, going way out there and away from Magic, I would always be more happy to spend money at an independent restaurant rather than a franchise. Like at a franchise, I'd be way less incentivized to go there unless it was for a group meal or whatever. But when, you know, like I'm gonna even shout it out, like Huggers, our local vegan cafe that we go to all the time, it's like, yeah, you're happy to pay that money to a business that is a smaller kind of startup, right? So yeah, I don't know, maybe there is an element of that as well. Templar OnlyFans coming soon.
Does Channel Fireball still run events?
Yes, I want to say. I think so. I think it's all US based.
Because they used to do.
Oh no,
GPs,
Kira and Jay are saying no, so maybe not.
Because they used to do GPs, right?
GPs are before my time.
Well, I mean, I think it's good, and we'll see what the quality of that content is. Now, tell me about the villain, because you're good at spotting them.
I am. I try my best. This one is a bit of a loose topic because all of the Twitter screenshots and everything have been deleted. So I can't remember the name of the player. This is one of those situations where I would actually happily name and shame. Cedric Phillips liked a lot of them and reposted them. Hang on, let me see if I can find their name.
Because I remember the name that you mentioned and it being something recognizable.
So basically, a player on the Arnie. Yes. Okay. Thank you. It's instantly from chat. Know who we're talking about before we even go into it. So during the Pro Tour, there was a situation where it was actually funny because it ended up being a big streamer. I think it was Jim Davis was the opponent that wasn't named at the time. But effectively, they were very angry that their opponent hadn't scooped to them, despite the fact that the opponent had, you know, stakes. It was something about requalification for the Pro Tour, having enough points to do it, or some shit like that, and they absolutely lost their shit. They doubled down. They really went in on this whole concept that people should scoop, and you know, all this kind of stuff. Oh, Simon. Good. Oh, okay. We're not even talking about Arnie. Maybe we've named the wrong person here. Maybe
we've got more content for next month.
This is why the villain segment is never gonna fail, right? Because there's so many villains in Magic. Was it Arnie or was it Simon? Hang on. Let's have a quick.
We should start a page where we bank them, so you can look on like something like only spells, but you can find only villains, and you're like, oh, you look at your opponent, and you're like, oh, let me just check my bank. Oh, you're a villain. No.
I'm trying to remember who it was.
Cedric got into a screaming match, but he's such a chill dude.
I think Cedric is just like happy to just call people out for bullshit these days. Like he'll just screenshot it, throw it out there, and be like, "What are you doing, bro?" Which I think is fair as well. Like I'm so annoyed I can't.
Oh, Cedric's buff as well. I didn't realise he'd been on the gym grind. My man's going for it. 28 pounds lighter. Look at that. What a legend. Oh, I miss the SCG tour so much. RIP. God, those were the days. SCG Open every weekend was a banger.
Okay, so this is the huge plot twist here. So it is not Arnie, it is not Simon, it is in fact Mark Tobias is the person I'm thinking of. They posted, guess I will miss the first PT since 2016 or something for not being qualified. Needed X7 for double qualification. Lost last round to someone who thinks that maybe in a couple of months it might be relevant to have the match points. I hope what goes around comes around, was the original post. And the best part about that is Jim Davis qualified for the next PT off of points by winning that game. So it did mean something. Basically, it was a win and in for both players.
What? It did come around. He got what he deserved.
Yes.
He took his point and he got his fucking qualification.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. But basically, the Mark deleted the post and then reposted another post that basically just doubled down, and then ended up having to delete that post as well. And you know, I know we kind of joke about how like it's going to be easy to find a villain every month to discuss, but this is honestly the absolute insane shit that comes out of Magic the Gathering. Like I've said it before. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast or publicly, but the shit that happened at the Axion recent RCQ, like what I noticed was like the spiky, petty shit that goes on in these games. It's just absolutely wild to me. Like, I just don't... How you can be mad for losing your winning in to someone else winning their winning in is just like... I don't know, man. Like, it's just crazy.
People are the center of their own universe. And I do think you have to have the mental game to recognize that you are... You might be having the best day, right? But the person sitting opposite you might just be having a better day. It doesn't matter how well you've drawn or how unlucky you've got. You know, it's sometimes your opponent has played better than you, has had better draws than you, deserves it more than you, and you have to just be humble enough to go, right, okay, it's yours. But I do not see the benefit of throwing your toys out the pram, arguing with your opponent, having the expectation that your opponent should treat you a certain way, like giving you a win. Win the game. You know,
yeah.
Crow's got it. Skill issue. Just win the game. You know, play the game, win it, lose it. Who cares? You either get it or you don't. And it's funny that we talk about the Feely bans, right, where people say, I just don't like playing against this card, and you don't get that in other games. The developer doesn't swoop in and go, I
better ban Yasuo.
Yeah, sorry, you can't handle it, or we'll just take it out then. You know, or a creeper's blown up your house in Minecraft, take them out. You know, you just don't do that. Sometimes you've got to just find a way to deal with that. Right? Find a way to deal with your sadness, your disappointment, the fact that your opponent has beat you. Find a way to deal with it and come back for the next time, and maybe it will be your turn. Phil's done it. He's lost a Mega Modern in the semi-final. He still plays Magic, right? You know. So yeah, it is villainous. Stop being the villain. Be the nice guy. Be Cedric Phillips. Lose £28. Play better Magic. Care about people.
Touch grass, basically. Like, but yeah. To finish off today, because it is getting late. And speaking of trying to lose £28, we do have badminton early tomorrow morning. So our last topic is kind of, you know, we're saying goodbye to Legacy. Legacy's kind of appearing in the rear view as we're starting to move past the big old tournament organizer that is. And Tournament Center are kind of in the distance, and we're driving towards them.
We're not. We're welcoming them back. We're welcoming Tournament Center back.
Well, we're on a roundabout. You know, like we're just taking the exit that we're doing a Yui, as Michael would say. So what did you like about Legacy? What are you not a fan of? What are you hoping they keep? What are you hoping they get rid of?
I guess the playmats were nice. I didn't like that you had I didn't like that you had a choice of how many what you got for an RCQ, right? I think an RCQ should be the same level, and you just buy 1 to 3, and whether you buy 1 or whether you buy 3 is only the numbers of the promos and not the quality of the promos you get, right? Let's just give everyone the winner of the RCQ gets a playmat. The promos are the same, and if you do 3 or 1, it's still the same. I didn't like that there was a time where you could play an RCQ and then win, and then the tournament organizer would be like, "Oh yeah, no, we got the bronze package, so actually here's a promo and fuck off." You know, it's like, give me the playmat, man. Like that's
So-
the highlight of the fucking RCQ. Right?
To shit on your parade already, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm fairly sure that Tournament Center are doing no playmat support at all. But I think the promos.
I found that villain, lads.
I think the promos. I might be wrong here, but I think an RCQ package contains 32 promos instead of, or like 36 or something like that, instead of 16. So there's more cards for you. I think the idea is you get a card for showing up. You know.
Yeah, I like that. I like the participation promos. I agree. I think we should all be having a good time when we go to these things, whether you're winning or losing.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I think just more of that, more participation promos. You know, we see other games that do these things so well. Like I really like Disney Lorcana. You know, I know your feelings are that it's the gameplay's not great, but but I really like the gameplay. I really like that you get something for being there. I like that it's a different community from Magic, and it's a bit more of a casual community. You can say that, oh, you know, me and James, having qualified, we let you guys go off to London to play an RCQ, and we went to the Disney Lorcana tournament, and we came first and second. Because we're horrible, spiky, nasty villains. And sadly, they were a very casual community. But it was nice. It was refreshing to just play for fun. And people were like, "I've got a puppies deck," and I was like, "Oh, I bought the best deck."
Oh dear! I just can't even entertain it. Like I don't know, Magic Light for me. But
yeah, I know you're more of a Pokemon guy.
I'm actually going to a Pokemon tournament tomorrow. I'm slightly concerned about it, to be honest, because I have no idea, how high the stakes are supposed to be for a league challenge. I don't fucking know. I don't know anything about it, but we'll see. We'll walk in there. And,
how many fat packs of Palladia evolved, or whatever that thing is? How many of those?
I am two packs of those. Oh no, you don't mean
every weekend.
You don't mean the fat packs. You mean the I can't even remember what it was called. They released like 6 booster packs in a thing. I think I bought 6 in the end, like a booster box worth. I think it was that, like, they were, if I remember correctly, they were like £6 a booster, and you couldn't buy booster packs, whereas the 6 packs were like 25 quid or something. So I just stocked up on them. Yeah, fucking love Pokemon. Sets gas, honestly. I'm looking forward to it.
I do like the cards. I don't like the gameplay though, but we can agree to disagree. That's it.
Paldean Fates. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you haven't played the gameplay yet. You know, maybe we'll have to get you on a video learning Pokemon.
But, oh my god, no, I can think of nothing more torturous. Yeah, the viewers, they never saw the Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, we did. Phil and Tod played Flesh and Blood for the first time, and Tod got pretty hooked into it.
I did.
And we had a whole 2 hours of footage, and it was just completely unusable. It was awful. It was such a waste of a day. We spent so long. It wasn't.
I had a great day.
Yeah, sure. But it was so much set up, and we didn't realize we hired. It was before Skyward had a door on their private hire, so it was just like a curtain. We hired their private hire, and we didn't realize it was like fucking Pokemon Kids Club or something, and it was just screaming children the entire.
imagine sitting in a soft play
Yeah.
and then trying to play Magic.
I think that is the problem with Pokemon, and I do appreciate actually. Athena have set their Pokemon up so that Wednesday is the casual night and Friday is the comp night. And when I've been on a Friday, there's maybe like a couple of 13, 14-year-olds that show up that are really passionate about the game and trying to get better. When I went to standard on Wednesday, there were just 20 children running around the tables and throwing cards at each other, and I'm just sat there like, okay, not for me. I'm glad you do this on a different night. It makes sense. I don't want to be there though. And I think that's the problem as well to be completely honest, with Lorcana, because like you can have that environment with Lorcana. I know you're not going to get it at a big,
There was no 14-year-olds at the Sunday tournament.
I would imagine the weekly one, there's going to be more, because it's when you're going to a tournament, you're going to a higher stakes, etc. But in terms of actually going back to topic of Legacy versus Tournament Center, I think the big thing I'm hoping for is that they keep the coverage, because I know that the European coverage of all the LMSs, like this weekend we have coverage of the Grand Open qualifier. America didn't do any of that. So America put all their budget into just like really high quality streams for the RCs, whereas Europe split their budget to kind of, provide coverage of everything. And I like that. I like watching Magic. So I hope they keep that. But
engaging presenters as well, like the Cedric Phillips and the really high quality commentators who know what's happening in the gameplay and offer insight I miss it so much. The Star City Games Opens were just 10 out of 10, and they got interviews with the players all the time. They did like deck tech reviews of decks live in the stream. It was brilliant. It was so good, and the production value was really up there. Those were the golden days pre-COVID.
I think there are still some good presenters out there. Like Cedric still presents, he's good. I like Will as well. Will Hall. I like I know it's a bit of a cheat answer, but my favorite commentator actually is Reed Duke. Just because like the insight is like you're just mind blown about it. So I do think there's still some there's a lot to be said about putting effort into the production value of these casts, because we do have talent still there, and the Magic being played is still there, so why not make the most of it?
I want to know about the personalities that play the game. I think that's so important, right? I think that's what keeps Magic alive, right? Is the excitement about the new sets, but it's the people who play the game on a regular basis, and it's the new players as well. Like, I'd like to see coverage of the Command Fest, right? I'd like to know what that venue's like, what's the buzz is like in that building when everyone's going to play Commander. I'm not personally going because I put all my money and effort into attending competitive Magic, but that doesn't mean I'm not interested in that part of the scene, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and we'll wind down there and end it, and I'll drop a couple of teasers related to what Todd's just said in terms of learning about players and about more than just the gameplay. I had the pleasure of interviewing a very prominent UK player a few days ago. Very excited to put that one out on the various channels once we've edited it all and gone through all that shenanigans. I'm not going to spoil who it is. It'll be revealed in due course. Those who know. And the other exciting one is, I think this is world first. Not really a world, it's barely information, to be completely honest. But Skyward Fire Games and Langdon Games have confirmed that they are doing 2 RCQs each for the upcoming Pioneer season. There are no dates yet, but at least we're confirmed that there's going to be some more comp Magic going on in East Anglia, which is really good. So they've already locked it in with Tournament Center. That's great to see. And we'll definitely be at those tournaments for sure, but assuming they don't clash with life stuff, but who knows. And then I guess the big upcoming is in 2 days, on Sunday the 24th of March. You can come back to this channel and watch some live standard RCQ coverage by Tod Doe, obviously my co-host, who's actually that way, not this way. What rap group is it that always says that way? I used to trip at the subway. Oh man, what is that fucking group? Migos. Just like Migos, sorry. Tangent. Haven't listened to Migos in a while. What's the thing? Anyway, and he's going to be joined by Pro Tour competitor Raoul Zimmerman, who is a absolute powerhouse. Very, very knowledgeable guy. Crazy good at Magic. So it's going to be.
I am going to try and say as little as possible.
He has prepped me that up until us locking in his commentary for the RCQ, he knows nothing. In his own words, I know nothing about standard. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it's if I'm sure he'll be pulling out all the card names. He knows everything about standard. Really, he's a dark
He's
horse.
played a couple of drafts between now and then, I'm sure. Definitely.
But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all for tuning in. We hope we've waffled you to sleep this Friday evening, and we'll see you for After Dark in a month. We'll see you Templar Talks before that. But yeah, for myself and Tod, good night, and have a great rest of your evening.